Let's tour the interface. Why is it so important to understand and memorize the terminology of the interface? Well, it's okay if you're working on your own. The problem starts when you are working with others, perhaps even a team of others. Or if you're like a teacher like myself, you might say, well, let's take a look at the toolbar. And then someone you're working with or teaching moves their mouse or cursor to the top, and you say, no, 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 down further, to the left, no, no, to the right, no, no, too far. You can see what kind of issues might arise. It's distracting and shows a lack of professionalism and even consideration for others working with or learning from you. So learning the interface and terminology related to the interface can boost production and make others more confident in your abilities. So let's do that. Let's take a look at 9 different primary features of the interface. The first is called the data panel. So one thing you'll notice with Fusion 360 is that if you hover over anything, generally a little dialog box will describe or give you more information on that particular feature. So to find the data panel, move your cursor all the way to the top left of the screen to the little grid, and it will say, Show Data Panel. Here, we can access teams. It will show you teams that you're a member of, and you can create or join teams, which will help you collaborate. Projects can be found down here. You can categorize them here. Sample projects are found down the list, and here we have basic training, CAM samples, design samples, electronic samples, generative design samples, simulation, and workshop and events. So I highly encourage anyone who is learning Fusion 360 to look up these samples to see what you can make and increase your knowledge. I particularly like in the workshop and events, the Raptor Reloaded full assembly. And to go back to home, we just click that little home button here. Return to project list. And let's close our data panel by hitting that X. The second thing is called the application bar. So it includes everything on the topmost portion of your window, including your data panel, file, which has all these different options in it. We can save. These buttons, as long as we're creating a part, we can undo and we can redo. We can go back to home. This is our current project. We can create a new design. We can see valuable extensions, job status, notifications, help, and if we click on our name up here, we can see our Autodesk account, preferences, profile, share feedback, and even sign out or log out of our account. The third thing is called the toolbar. So everything here that is immediately underneath the application bar. So here we have change workspace. So we can hover over that and we see that we're in the design workspace, but we can go to generative design if we've subscribed to that. We can render, we can do animation, simulation, manufacture, and drawing. Then we have tabs. And here we have the solid tab, the surface tab, the mesh tab, sheet metal, plastic, and utilities. So let's click on the solid tab. Under each tab, you will find the toolbar, or some other applications call it the ribbon. And right here are actually just shortcuts that can be found in the drop-down menu. So let's click Create. And there we can create a new component, create sketch, you can see that there, create a form. But the shortcuts up here are the ones that you will most often use. Well, say you'd like to add a shortcut up there. For example, if you make boxes often, you can hover over box and click these little 3 dots. There we can pin to toolbar. And as soon as I do that, you can see box is up there. Now I don't use box that often, so I'm going to remove it from the toolbar. And I can do that simply by just clicking on the 3 dots and removing pin to toolbar. Here, we also have a benefit with Fusion 360, is that if you hover over anything, as I mentioned before, you will see a brief description of that particular type of resource, which will tell you a very basic understanding of what that particular feature will do. So if you'd like to extrude, well, there you go. There's a brief description, revolve, and it will give you a basic description of how to go about doing it. The next group is under automate. The next is under modify, and here we run into the same situation as create. We have all these different features that we can select, and we can add shortcuts to the toolbar too, pin to toolbar if we would like. The way that the toolbar is lined out here is, first of all, we create a part. We could also automate it. Those kind of go hand in hand. And then we modify it. And then we assemble if we have more than one part or component. And then all these other things over here will help us to continue to make adjustments or to design, help us in the design process. Let's move on to number 4. It's called the browser. If we look over here to the top left, we will see browser. If we're familiar with any type of file maintenance, we will understand the browser easily. It is based on a tier system. If we see an arrow pointing to the right, we can expand or collapse them to their submenus. As we create various features in our design and 3D modeling process, it will add more folders and submenus. For example, let's create a sketch. I'll just select this plane. And then look at what happens in our browser. Immediately we have a folder that's called sketches. And the sketch that we just made is sketch 1. And you can see if we have hundreds or thousands of sketches, that this browser is very useful. The browser will contain other things like components, bodies, joints, etc., which will help you navigate your assembly or part easily. Number 5 is the assembly in the canvas. This is where you can see and work on your 2D and 3D artwork. You will see your part right in the middle of the screen, almost like a palette or a canvas that an artist uses, but you will be a 3D artist. Next, we have the ViewCube. Let me create a simple part here. As we look at the ViewCube, we can hit the Home button, and it will take us back to the isometric view of our part. We can also see different faces, almost like we're holding it in our hand. We can look at the front face. We can grab a corner and rotate it. We can look directly at the corner, on the top corner, or I should say the edge or the top corner, the right face. Once we select a face, we can actually rotate it 90 degrees. And again, if we select the Home button, we can go right back to the isometric view. A helpful aid is, with our part on the screen, if we have a mouse with a middle button, which I highly recommend, we can hold it, and we can pan the part left and right. Or, if we hold down Shift and the middle button, well, we can orbit, which comes in very handy. Let's exit out of that part. Number 7, it's called the marking menu. So if we right-click on our mouse, we will see a menu show up. This basically shows frequently used commands and additional commands. For example, pan, zoom, constrain orbit. We have press, pull, sketch, move, hole. This menu will change depending on what you are wanting to do. Let's go to the next item, number 8, the navigation menu. So let's go left to right. Here we have orbit. And we can orbit our part. To exit out of something, we can just hit the escape key on our keyboard. We can look at. We can pan. We can zoom. We can zoom in a window. These display settings are very handy. We can go to visual style, and for this I'll have to create another part. Let's just do another simple part here. So for this we can change a visual style to shaded. You see that our edges and our hidden edges will disappear. We can go shaded with hidden edges, so this will show all of the hidden edges that are hidden behind our part or in our part. we can go shaded with visible edges only, which is most commonly used. But occasionally we'll also use wireframe with hidden edges, and wireframe with visible edges only. These are used less frequently. Let's go back to shaded with visible edges only. Next, let's go to environment first. We can change the environment to dark sky, gray room, photo booth, tranquility blue, infinite pool, and river Rubicon. So, what one is best? Well, it depends on you as the artist. So sometimes the part you might be working with, you can actually change the color, which we'll address in a future lesson. But it's good to experiment with different color parts, different times of the day. You might prefer different environments. So have fun. It's just like an artist that paints. They might change the environment they're in depending on what kind of art they're working on. So it's the same thing with you. Then we have, if we keep on going, we have effects. We can turn on something like the environment dome, ground plane, things like that. Our object visibility, if we want to see all these different things, we can turn them on. Now our camera, this is one thing that you should get to know very quickly. We have orthographic view and perspective. Well, what's the difference? Now, orthographic shows a much more realistic way of working on our part. It's much easier to understand. A rectangle will look like a rectangle, and so on, so on and so forth. However, perspective is more like we see with our eye. So as you can see, the perspective of this is much more natural, but it's harder to work with. So let's go back to orthographic. And then we can change the ground plane offset, which we won't touch right now. Grids, we can put on the layout grid, but this actually can be a distraction if we leave it on all the time. And you can change your grid settings down here. Let me show you what I mean. As soon as we create a sketch, another grid will show up, which will help us. So use the grid sparingly. Use it only when you absolutely need to. Last but certainly not least is called the timeline. This is at the bottom of your screen, and it shows operations performed in our design. You can right-click or double-click on anything you've made to change it. For example, we can change our box. Maybe we did the wrong dimensions. Well, sometimes if we double-click, it might not work for us. So I like to right-click and edit, and we can change the dimensions right there. Let's call it 3-inch length by 4-inch by 1-inch height. There we go. So immediately we can change whatever we have done in the timeline, and it will adjust all of the other things in our timeline that follow. Once you finish your changes, everything after in the timeline will automatically update, which is an amazing thing that Fusion 360 specializes in. So that's the interface. I will leave a link in the description which will take you to the official website, which will show you a simple summary of the interface that you can bookmark and refer to as often as you would like as you continue in your quest to learn Fusion 360. If you've benefited at all from this video, please like, comment, share, and/or subscribe so that hopefully I can continue making these educational videos. Thanks, and hope to see you at the next video.